Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's doing good. We'll wait just a moment here as people start joining into the room. Got our good friend Drew here. How you doing, Drew?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me today, Dan.
I'm glad you could be here. We're going to talk about some exciting stuff, especially about the cloud crashing, right? I mean, the cloud's over. It's done.
Yeah, I feel pretty sad about it.
Yeah.
I mean,
here we finally get all of our clients to understand what the cloud is, and it's just going away, just this novelty.
yeah, timing is everything.
Exactly.
I mean, it was like the Chia Pet and the Pet Rock.
Yes.
But I do,
Yes.
I asked Santa for a Bob Ross Chia Pet for the holidays.
That's great.
I'm really hoping he comes through.
That is awesome. And I bet we have some members of our audience that when you said the Pet Rock, they probably have no idea what you're talking about, right?
Oh my
'cause,
gosh.
we're older, right?
Well, let's throw a few more in there, like Tamagotchis. Right, remember those little digital pets that
Oh,
everybody was obsessed with.
Exactly.
What was that was that even an 8-bit graphic display?
Maybe lawn darts.
Oh yeah, the best.
All the great stuff that we got for Christmas that were either one-hit wonders or pulled because they were not safe.
and the Breaking Bad chemistry set.
Oh yes, there we go.
So yeah, we're definitely going to have a little fun today. I mean, there's some serious business here, but I think we've got some good advice to share, as well as perhaps some insights that will help folks kind of stay focused on what really matters, which is their customers.
Absolutely. So we'll kick it off now. So we've been talking a little bit now, buddy. You may be aware of Drew as the senior director of technical product marketing with Wasabi, and I mean, I just love saying Wasabi, right? It's just a cool name. So we are here to talk about the cloud. We're talking about is the cloud crashing. As we've described, some pundits are claiming that the rush to the cloud, the good old gold rush that occurred because of the pandemic, is over and done with. However, other pundits are claiming that 23 is the year of the cloud. And so the big question is, who is right? And we got to be prepared no matter what. So that's what we're here to talk about. We'll talk about what's going on with the cloud, how to leverage the cloud, and grow our businesses in 2023 and beyond. And so again, thank you for being here, Drew. So the cloud's crashing. So what happened? What is this all about?
Yeah. So and I'll bring us to the next. The cloud isn't crashing, right? We've definitely had a little fender bender with the economy. And I think that everyone's going to feel it, no question about it. But the cloud is not crashing. If anything, right, we're just adjusting, right? Like everything else that goes on in the IT industry. And we're seeing the pendulum swing a bit yet again. If you've been doing this for, more than maybe 5-10 years, right, you see that things kind of come into vogue and then leave and then come back and then leave and then come back.
Right.
And let's be honest, right? Cloud is still relatively in its infancy, right?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
So, for any pundit to declare, that, the cloud is in trouble, the cloud is crashing, or, everybody's repatriating their data and going back to, Michael Dell would love that, right?
Right.
He would love nothing more than for everybody to say, oh, that cloud thing, that was nice, but I need to run everything in my data center again because I have so many staff, right? And so many
Yeah.
people who don't know what to do with their time, which is, of course, not the truth. Quite the opposite, in fact. So, it's kind of like, working with a financial advisor. You know, if you've worked, if you've been saving money, right, you putting money away, 401ks and so forth, right? Your financial advisor, if they're any good, right now they are telling you to just be patient, to sit tight, don't panic. As long as you're not strapped for cash, right? As long as you're not, in a bad situation, right? Sit tight. The market has traditionally come back. I don't even think that I won't even say that the cloud is coming back. I would say the cloud is here. And if
Yeah.
anything, I think the economy presents an incredible opportunity for managed service providers.
And it's been such an evolution, right? I mean, I remember the early days. I remember talking to a client who said to me, he goes, Dan, I was just at a conference and we need to move to the cloud. And so I was like, well, tell me more. I mean, what specifically did they talk about? He's like, I'm not sure, but we need to move to the cloud. It's, of course, in his eyes, he thought it was free, it's going to cost them nothing and save them money. So I explained to him, I said, you're currently on a, an hosted exchange platform, which was BPOS way before Office 365. And I explained to him how they were on that. And he says, no, it can't be the case. He goes, I was just at a conference and the cloud's brand new. Right. So the cloud, the whole marketing term of the cloud has been a challenge. And I think we're well beyond that at this point. It has really evolved to what the cloud is, what it consists of. And, and we're here, and the adoption, of course, in enterprise, I always like to look at the enterprises, being more of those early adopters. And then it flows down to mid-market and SMB. And, I think we're well there at a point where SMBs are truly looking to the cloud as a way to help them achieve their overall goals and objectives.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, if I'm an MSP today, and, I've got a little time with the holidays, right? If things are kind of, well, if you got retailers that you're supporting, you're busy as can be, but I think now's a great time to really step back and, do an analysis of your, cost to value versus the hyperscalers, because that's where, you have an incredible advantage. And I know Wasabi does, right? And you have the ability to capture that much more business because of the value that you can deliver versus the call center that, people just rip their hair out. I mean, look at me, right? This is years of calling call centers. The value that you bring, the personal touch, is really what is selling your business. Right. It's your line card, your portfolio of services, that's great. And now is also a great time to consider being more aggressive, I think, at putting more of your portfolio out there for consideration. I think most folks are like, he's crazy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. People are trying to, hit me up to where to scale back, where to cut corners. Well, I can tell you one place, right? That's storage. But what I mean by that is, get your customers off of the rock, get them off of, that really expensive, crazy expensive hyperscaler storage, right? Bring them over to somebody like Wasabi, and then don't just let those savings go away. hold, go capture that savings and turn that into other opportunities. Right. That's what I mean by you can be more aggressive at looking for more opportunity, because you can bring an incredible amount of savings to your customers and then recapture that in terms of other services.
Yeah, and I think, when we take a look at the last 2 to 3 years, I mean, we've just gone through, a time in our lives that hasn't occurred in 100 years, right? With the pandemic, changes that none of us could have necessarily anticipated or predicted were going to happen. And so we were in moving in hyperspeed, all the way from enterprise down to SMBs, moving in hyperspeed to be able to adapt to what's happening out there. And those changes in trying to adapt to the pandemic weren't necessarily well thought out. A lot of times they were, last minute, pull the trigger type scenario to just get something in place. So there's a lot of fragmentation with data out there, and that's where I think when you talk about cutting costs in the data storage, is we're at a time now that 20, 21, 22, we were throwing these things into place. People became more adapted to the change. Now it's time for us to kind of reassess and reshape that, and not have this data all over the place and try to streamline it.
Absolutely. Consolidation has always been, one of those plays that you can use, right, to rein in costs, especially when it's consolidating to a lower cost storage service.
Right.
And lo and behold, thank you for having me today. Wasabi just launched our Cloud Sync Manager, and we now have the ability to help customers, MSPs, facilitate that consolidation effort, moving data, large or small, from hyperscalers into Wasabi, right? So, and that's always a tricky effort, right? There's always some timing concerns and availability concerns, but we're basically treating it as a concierge or a bespoke service, right? While we would love to just have you click a few buttons and off it goes, we recognize that it can be somewhat complicated, so we're doing it hands-on. We're working with a data migration partner, and we are able to tens, hundreds of terabytes, in fact, even petabytes in some cases. We've been moving into the Wasabi storage cloud at a fairly rapid pace, because there's no better time to start saving money than yesterday.
Right.
So I think the other thing that I've been hearing, that I've been seeing, I've been reading, right, because we're all market watchers, is this comment by analysts about hyperscaler revenue growth slowing down, right? And that's this harbinger of doom for the entire cloud market. It's not. All right. It is absolutely not. What it is a reflection of, and pat yourselves on the back if you're listening to this webinar, is the impact that MSPs are having on the hyperscalers. Again, because of the value that you are bringing to your customers, they are choosing to work with you and not try to patch something together, right, with a hyperscaler. Now, I may be talking out of turn. You're probably leveraging some capabilities of the hyperscalers because they have so many products and services to offer. But I would, of course, implore you to consider, if and where possible, right, take control of the storage part, right? Don't leave that up to the hyperscalers. That's where you're going to, lose revenue opportunity. You're going to lose account control opportunity, and you're going to lose customer satisfaction opportunity. So, just my
and I think
my two
one of the
cents
key
there.
things that you said is the value. That value component. one of the biggest ways that we can, any business really can battle against commodities, in the whole commoditization, is by providing that value. There are some businesses that, fall to the whole commodity type aspect. And when you provide the value, you just can't compete with what we can do as MSPs in the local market.
Yep.
Providing that value, understanding their business, not worrying about the blinky lights, focused on the true business aspect. What are they trying to achieve? What are their goals? What are their objectives? And how can we put different technology tools in place to help them achieve that? Because their business isn't technology.
Right.
Our business may be technology, but their
Right.
business is technology. But they use technology in order to fulfill their services, in order to improve their workflow, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's up to us to be able to have a business owner to business owner discussion. And that's where we provide the greatest value. And, learning about their business and not just coming in there and implementing technology for the sake of technology, because it doesn't provide any value. But truly implementing things that are going to help them move forward.
Dan, that is such an insightful statement, right? The entire reason you have a relationship with them, your customers, is because they don't want to do this stuff, right? They don't want to run a mail server. They don't want to run a database. They for the most part, right, they need database services, right? They need to keep track of whatever information, right? Whether it's SRM, CRM, contracts, what have you, right? But they don't want to, that's not their job in life, right? They are providing, probably a product or a service. They are very focused on, their customers and their customer satisfaction, and they're relying upon you as the MSP to enable them to, to charge ahead, louder and faster, right? Yeah. Valentino dropped a question on us about, when your cloud has an outage. I don't know if he's talking about the Wasabi cloud specifically or cloud in general. I would say that is a discussion, right, as an MSP that you have with your customer in terms of their tolerance for an outage, right? I mean, some folks have zero tolerance, right? Business is shut down if they cannot access a specific, database, if they cannot access their communications systems, what have you. Other businesses, perhaps, are a little bit more flexible, a little more tolerant of, a minute, an hour, maybe a day, probably not, but, it's possible. And I think that's where, again, as an MSP, it is up to you to have that conversation, right, with the business owner to understand, right, what are their needs? What are their DR needs, right?
Yeah.
They need to have fully redundant systems. Dan, please chime in.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it comes down to the conversations we have about business continuity. And, when we take a look at like data backup as an example, one of the two questions that we often ask is, revolving around RTO and RPO, recovery time objectives and recovery point objectives. It comes down to how much data can you afford to lose and how much time can you afford to be down. And same thing when it comes to moving, more of our solutions to the cloud. We have to have those same conversations, because then, there's the discussion about redundancy with internet connectivity, and, putting in, a firewall that's got, those dual WAN ports so that we can have two solutions in there. One, hopefully, they're alternate enough solutions that, You know, I mean, because there can be worst case scenarios, right? You know, you could have two solutions that are, you know, directly over physical wire, and somebody could cut a line outside their business, and no matter what happens, it's down. So unless you're looking at some type of a wireless solution, you know, you're just going to be stuck. But I think it really just comes down to having that conversation with them, talking about, you know, all the different possibilities. And yeah, you know, money wise, right? You know, is what, you know, if it's going to completely halt your business and there's nothing you can do, and you're burning, you know, hundreds of dollars per hour in payroll costs, then, you know, you want to make sure that you have a way to get around that in the event of an outage. So I think in the other thing too is we've changed. So much has changed in the last 3 years as far as where we work. You know, I mean, in the event that there's a scenario where, you know, construction crew cut lines, and, you know, there's nothing you can do about it, you know, you're stuck. Often people are, you know, now, you know, you could go work anywhere. You've got that ability. Where in the past, I think having someone go work elsewhere because of that kind of disruption would be unusual. Now it's not. It's part of the norm.
Yeah. I want to just add to that. I mean, we're talking here about customers for life. And it's a great marketing concept, right? That, you know, you continuously are thrilling your customers. And I think in the scenario you just described, and I know we're kind of going into the weeds a little bit here, but, you know, just having your customer's email address, not enough, right? Whoever is paying the bills, please make sure you've got their cell phone numbers. Please make sure that you can, you know, in that worst case scenario, start dialing for future dollars. Get on that phone and start, you know, get a script together, and you should have it already written out, right? Think ahead, and you should be dialing everybody as fast as possible to say, hey, we just need to let you know that this has occurred. We are working with the utility company to restore service, et cetera, et cetera. That is, you know, thinking ahead, that is thinking 4-dimensionally, and that is providing nth level customer service, because the worst possible is not just the lines get cut, but you have no way whatsoever to communicate that you're on it. You're working as hard as you can to fix it. It is beyond your control. Please be patient, because you know, I know that, you know, in my neck of the woods, right? I live in the mountains. Power goes out like randomly. Internet goes out randomly. Sometimes it's because they're working on the lines and they didn't bother to tell us, right, that they were going to be cutting power today for 4 hours. I'd be so much happier when I call the power company if I had gotten, you know, a text, anything that said, hey, get ready, right? We're cutting your power for a few hours. Oh, well, maybe I should go down to the library and do my web. I'm not at the library today. I'm at home. Everything's cool. Good to go. So, you know, kind of circling back to, you know, or keying off of that idea of customers for life, right? And how to bolster your business going forward. I want to bring this concept forward to the audience. And I've talked about this before in other sessions we've done. Data has gravity. All right. And if you are supporting your customers in terms of storing their data, backing up their data, then you have a very strong pull on their business. All right. To that effect, if you want to go above and beyond, not only do you need to understand the nature of their business, but understand the nature of their data. I'm getting a little deep here into data theory or whatever you want to call it, but, you know, not all data is equal, right? Some data has what we call a high skew, right? It is accessed very frequently, you know, whatever, every minute, every second, all day long, right? So the activity level, very, very high. Other data, you know, like backup data typically, right, is a low skew. You store it and you kind of cross your fingers that you never have to use it. understanding the differences and kind of everything in between really will help you to put your customers' data in the right place at the right time for when they need to recall it. Now, I'll get a little aggressive here and say there are other services out there that will tell you that they can take the data and put it in a cold storage and that you're going to pay next to nothing. And I will say that as a bait and switch, don't go for it. Because the minute you actually have to go and get something from that cold storage, you are going to pay so much more in egress fees. Well, your customers are going to pay so much more in egress fees that you completely destroyed the idea that you were going to save money, and you're going to get this shocking bill and everyone's going to look at you like, what the hell happened? Excuse me. So be very careful, know what, the billing is. If there's one thing that Wasabi does exceptionally well, aside from cloud object storage, it's that we provide predictable pricing, right?
And that's critical.
There's no gotchas. There's no hidden fees. It's completely transparent. You pay per terabyte per month, right? You can also do a reserved capacity storage agreement where you can reserve X numbers of terabytes per year, get a better deal. But that predictability right now is so strong, right? At a time where, folks are just like, what do I do now? Right? Yeah. Having anything that you can offer them. Well, I'm sure there are other things, but having one more thing you can offer that is predictable is going to thrill them, is going to help lock them up as a customer for life.
Yeah, because there's so many things that are outside of our control, but there's so many things that are in our control, and we have to make the right decisions to ensure that like you mentioned, the client's going to be paying for it, but we don't want the client to be upset, right? Because that doesn't build that customer for life. That doesn't create a raving fan. We want them to be more than satisfied with what we're providing to them. And nobody likes surprises. Nobody likes surprises.
Especially when the word invoice is at the top of that surprise.
Right. And like you said too, when you drill down and you truly understand those customer needs, that is what separates you from your competition. That's what separates you from others that are out there that are trying to I'll use the trunk slammer phrase, but there's a lot out there that are just trying to provide the lowest possible cost solution, and we all know that it takes money to provide quality service. And the reason why many don't provide the quality service is because, they're trying just to be the lowest cost provider and only the lowest cost provider, and not focused on, we might provide great value in our cost, but we're also providing a quality product, quality service. And, those have to, all come into play.
Yep. I think that's the old adage, right? You can have it fast or you can have it good. Pick one. Right. Wasabi had colors outside the lines, right? We give you both.
Yep.
And I think that's, what I'll leave y'all with is, and we've been pretty light on the blatant promotion. I think that's good, because I think the bigger conversation is, it's cloud crashing. No, it is not crashing. There are, like Wasabi, solid, valuable services that you can incorporate into your offering, that you can help to grow your business at a time when, honestly, folks are going to curtail CapEx purchases, right? They're going to, slow down or lock down hiring. And as such, they're going to turn to their trusted advisors. They're going to turn to their existing MSPs and say, I need help with this. Can you help me? And of course, I hope the answer for your audience is going to be absolutely. We got you covered. And of course, when it comes to storage, well, I hope you would all consider, looking into Wasabi as, something that you can add to your line card, right? It's easy to sign up. It takes literally minutes. The minimum amount of storage that you need to be working with is a terabyte. You can either, buy it yourself and resell it at whatever price you want, or you can just pass that on to your customers and let them work directly. But I can tell you there's opportunity for folks that want to resell Wasabi. We can make it worth your time and worth your while. So
it makes it easy. It makes it, a no-brainer to say, I want to give Wasabi a try. I mean, like you said, a minimum of a terabyte. You're not going to break the bank.
No, and it's proven, right? We're working with some of the biggest names in sports and entertainment today. If folks are worried about the the viability of this company they haven't heard about before, except maybe in a Budweiser commercial, we're happy to help. We have, as a reseller, as a partner, we have a ton of marketing resources. You don't have to try to figure out a marketing campaign if you want to resell Wasabi. It's all there for you. You just take it, you brand it, you do what you need to do with it. So, wow. Well, that went by pretty quick, Dan.
Yeah. I mean, lots of great information. I'm not seeing any other questions right now. If anybody does have a question you want to slip in here, throw it out there. But I mean, we're living in a time of economic uncertainty. Where we have that, we have dealing with scenarios where what we've put in place during the pandemic. We maybe haphazardly threw many different things together to be able to accommodate and adapt to the change. And 2023 is the year of the reset and making sure that we have all the right tools in place, and especially that fragmented data. I'm seeing more and more stats on that fragmented data, that is just data here, data there, data everywhere. And and it's time to pull all that together, because let's face it, without that data, where's that business going to go? How are they going to get to the next step?
Yep.
So yeah, I'm not seeing any other questions. I think
we crushed it.
We crushed it. We can feel good about the rest of our day that we crushed it. As always, I thank you so much for your time. If somebody would like to move forward with Wasabi, there is some information up on the slide right now. When we send out an email that includes the replay, we'll also include some information as far as being able to connect with Wasabi. But please give them a chance. Take a look at what they have. And any parting words, Drew?
Honestly, I think 23 is going to be, for technology, I think it's going to be a solid, strong year. I'm an optimist, and I've been through these cycles before. So I think your MSP audience is very well positioned to capitalize on a market that is going to need help, doesn't have the staff, and is looking for ways to keep their businesses running and save money. I would strongly, of course, suggest that Wasabi can help. Oh, wait, hey, hang on. Lisa just chimed in. Can you back up Azure with Wasabi? Yes, you can, depending on what application you're using. For instance, I know that you can back up Microsoft 365 using the Veeam product, as well as products from MSP 360 with Wasabi as your target. So check with your preferred backup vendor. And if you can't get a good answer there, please drop us a line at support@wasabi.com. We'd be happy to introduce you to our partners that can help.
And that's the beauty. You guys integrate with so many partners.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's kind of hard to find any gaps in that list. There's a lot of partners on there.
We do have a lot of partners, and it makes sense, right? Because as great as storage is, right, you need solutions to really make the picture complete. So, well, that's it. Thanks
All right.
again. I wish
thank
you
you.
all happy holidays, happy, healthy new year, and look forward to what I'm sure will be a few more conversations going forward.
Awesome. Sounds good, Drew. Thank you very much for your time. As well as everybody else, thank you for being on the our call today. We will be sending out an email that will have the replay. So please feel free to share it with other people within your organization or fellow MSPs. And with that being said, everybody have a great rest of your day. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.